What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all doing well. So last year there was a season that was 4 episodes long of a Lego Star Wars series called Rebuild the Galaxy. I've been pretty good about keeping up with the newer Star Wars Lego releases, but I never got around to this one. I knew it was coming out, it looked like a good fun time, but at the time I just didn't prioritize it, and you guys know Star Wars is my favorite thing, so I'm a little ashamed of myself that it's taken me this long to get around to it. But the kind folks over at Disney sent me over an early screener for the 4 episodes of the new season, which is titled Rebuild the Galaxy, Pieces of the Past, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So I sat down, I binge watched the first 4 episodes from the first season of Rebuild the Galaxy, and just finished watching the newest 4 episodes. Now, as of this video going live, the new 4 episodes, the newest season of Rebuild the Galaxy, is officially available on Disney Plus, so you can go and watch it already right now. And so again, a big thanks to those kind folks over at Disney for sending me over an early screener. I had no intention of missing out on the first season at the time, but it just kind of became something that kind of got lost in the rearview mirror, and I never got around to it. And it's got a pretty solid cast. That's one thing that I knew about it back when it was first announced, and one thing I was just reveling in when I was watching it now. The show stars people like Gaten Matarazzo and Tony Revolori as 2 brothers known as Sig and Dev, as they are literally scruffy looking nerf herders. They are actual nerf herders, and we learn that the youngest brother, Sig, is actually Force sensitive. This leads the 2 of them onto a little adventure where they end up finding a Jedi temple. They end up messing with this shiny Lego brick called a cornerstone that ends up completely rewriting all of history, completely dismantling the galaxy of Star Wars as we know it in that first season. And so the whole general gist of that whole entire season is just like a mismatch kind of what if of Star Wars. You have all these different characters that are no longer who they used to be. You have the clone army being a bunch of Admiral Akbars. All the Jedi are characters that would never be Jedi, or that are not Jedi in this timeline that we currently know. You have like Palpatine and a good Vader running the Jedi Council alongside like Jabba the Hutt and Cad Bane, and you have villains that are Sith in here like Darth Jar Jar or Darth Rose Tico, or characters like Dark Nubs or Darth Rey. And I thought it was so much fun. The first season ends with bringing in the Mandalorian and Grogu, except it's the Landalorian. It's a Lando Calrissian, which I thought was a lot of fun. And so they did a good job of bringing in new cast members to play all these different characters in that first season, while also having some big names, some big legacy stars from Star Wars appearing in here. Most notably people like Mark Hamill, who plays Luke Skywalker throughout the course of the show. You also have Ahmed Best, who comes back to play Darth Jar Jar. Ashley Eckstein is in the second season as Ahsoka Tano. Sam Witwer as a nice Darth Maul. Anthony Daniels as C-3PO, but he's a bounty hunter, so he's evil, and then he becomes a pirate in this newest season. Kelly Marie Tran appears as Darth Rose Tico, and even Cameron Monaghan as Cal Kestis. So with all that said, I just like that this was kind of just like a what-if multiversal Lego Star Wars thing, and that's the gist I got from watching the trailer for the first season. But because I never got around to it, I never got to be on board for the fun. So this is mostly going to be a review for the second season, but I am just going to kind of give my general thoughts on the show as it is. And yeah, honestly, I think the best part about it is that my wife and I sat down to binge all 8 episodes, including the new 4 episodes, and it didn't take a lot of time. It was maybe a little over 2 hours to watch all 4 episodes. Each episode, with the intro and the end credits, if you were to cut those out and just kind of move to the next episode pretty quickly, is about 20 minutes a pop, so it was a pretty easy breezy watch. There's only 8 episodes now, with the second season being around, and I just think for the most part this is good fun time. I think that this is just a show that understands what it is. It leans into the tongue-in-cheek nature of what makes Lego what it is. It leans into that silly meta humor that Lego is super popular for, not only with its TV specials like this, but also with the big, theatrically released movies and the dozens of video games that I think really kind of cemented people's love for Lego outside of actually just playing and building Legos themselves. It's been the video games and some of these specials, and now the movies as well, that have really been able to take Lego to a whole new place and allow that humor to be on another level that's just more than anything harmless, good fun. And that's what I felt with this entire season. This was a great time, honestly. If you liked the first season of Rebuild the Galaxy, this season is everything you enjoyed about the first season and more. It has all of those deep cuts. It has all the references to the movies. It has all this fun mixing and matching of characters that shouldn't be where they are, being able to see these moments that just are ridiculous and leaning into the silliness of Star Wars. Tons of quotable lines from the movies being reprised here in fun and silly ways, oftentimes by the character who said it in the movie, but a lot of times also being said by brand new characters or by characters that would not have said it in the movie, but it's funny that they're saying it here. And I like that this season also kind of deals with deep cut characters, because there is an element to this season where the characters are taken to a different realm, if you will, and that other realm allows us to see characters that have kind of been forgotten or aren't necessarily really part of the main timeline of movies in the same way. Some of them being real deep cut characters, like the character of Jackson, who deep cut Star Wars fans will know from the old books and comics. You also have characters like Ahsoka Tano, who appears in here, but she's specifically a different kind of Lego, so she is from a different galaxy, which I thought was really cool, again leaning into the fun multiversal element. And you even have Cal Kestis in here from the Jedi games that they've released in the recent years. You know, of course, we have, you know, Fallen Order as well as Jedi Survivor. So I've really enjoyed Cameron Monaghan as that character in those two games. So it was nice to have him appear here. And again, it was just fun to have this mixing and matching of all these characters in different places. You have Padme Amidala appearing in this season as a queen of the pirates, which I thought was really cool. And just all together, this season just took everything that the first season was and just doubles down on it with a lot of big, fun, vibrant, colorful action, and more than anything, a fun, likable, and charming brother relationship at the center of it with Sig and Dev. I think that when it comes down to what the heart of this show is, for sure, Gaten Matarazzo and Tony Revolori are the real heart of this show, and a lot of the, you know, humor and the insanity around it and all these characters we know and love from Star Wars are just the fun of it all. It's cool to just see things that, you know, aren't going to mess with the timeline as you know it, but just kind of, you know, revel in the silliness of it. But I think that having those two central characters, you know, a familiar, you know, good brother versus evil brother kind of storyline, I think really worked here. Though it is familiar, though it is predictable, it's enjoyable and it's touching in the right moments. But I think the fun of a show like this is it isn't really asking you to go on a deep emotional journey, but instead is saying, hey, do you like silly humor? Hey, do you like Star Wars? Well, we're going to put that together so you can sit here and have a good, fun time. And by no means is it something that's asking you to really go deeper than that. And I think that that's okay. You know, I like when you can have a show like this that just asks you to have fun with it and lean into the silliness. And when it comes down to the animation, I think that Lego animation since the movies came out in theaters has just been great. I don't know that all of the specials that go to Disney Plus have been on the same level as the theatrically released films, but I think for the most part, when you look at a lot of the Lego, you know, TV specials or little movies they would release that were tied to, you know, something that they were releasing at the time before the theatrically released movies, they didn't always look the best, but now there's a really solid look to all of them. And I also really love that they consistently have that detail of showing like the fingerprints on all of the Legos. That's something that's been very prevalent in Lego movies and shows since the big theatrically released films, which I think is a great little detail. It just gives you that idea that somebody's having fun playing with these characters, and that's exactly what they did with the movies. So it makes sense to kind of have that idea here too, as you have this big crazy mix match kind of idea, this multiversal different universe kind of Star Wars storytelling. And as far as the Star Wars side of things goes, while this is certainly leaning into the absurd and the ridiculous and trying to be funny and silly, it very much still leans into the lore, and it still leans into the things that you want, the battle of good and evil and those, you know, lore elements of Star Wars that make Star Wars what it is. And so as a lifelong Star Wars fan, it was nice to watch this and have something that feels like it represents the franchise with a lot of love, but also pokes fun at the franchise. It's totally making fun of the sequel trilogy a lot of times. It's totally making fun of the original trilogy and the prequels at times. Definitely a lot more jabs towards the sequel trilogy for sure over the course of these two seasons. And in this second season in particular, they definitely make quite a few jabs towards the sequels. And so I like that this was able to kind of poke fun at the franchise in the more serious ways, but still have the heart, still have the music, flip things on its head, and just lean into fun around Star Wars. You know, I think a lot of days now, there's just people who just want to rip into a lot of these bigger IPs, you know, and have such a meticulous eye for everything that just kind of removes any ability to kind of poke fun at something that you love. And I like that the Lego franchise has been able to do such a great job of honoring what it is celebrating, honoring what it's about, while also poking fun at it. So when it comes down to vibrant colors, great animation, and cool, fun action, leaning into that fun Star Wars lore, but kind of mixing and matching ridiculousness, I think that Rebuild the Galaxy, both season 1 and 2 have been great. And I think this second season in particular is going to be something something that's going to put a smile on a lot of people's faces with a lot of the deep cut references to the movies and some of the expanded universe that hasn't been touched on all that much. This is something that's for Star Wars fans outside of just the movies and outside of just the animation. There's a lot of little Easter eggs and details in there, and I thought that was a lot of fun. And I think even if you don't know all of those deep cut references and Easter eggs, it's still fun enough and has a lot of that stuff at the front that's the more Star Warsy things that most people know, that is all done in a fun, tasteful way that, you know, had me and my wife laughing throughout the entirety of the 8 episodes. So that's going to be my thoughts on the most recent 4 episodes of Rebuild the Galaxy. But as the show altogether, I'm curious to see if they'll do more. They definitely leave it open where they could do more, but I wouldn't say it's left as open as the first season leaves it, where that one is kind of an incomplete story. It's left with a cliffhanger. This time around, it kind of brings things to a nice conclusion. So if they ended it here, that's okay. But if they do more, I would be excited to revisit these characters in this fun multiversal mixed matched world of Star Wars. So that's going to be my thoughts on Rebuild the Galaxy, the Pieces of the Past. Definitely leave some comments down below. Did you like this season? Did you not like this season? Are you planning on checking it out? Whatever the case may be, leave any and all comments down below. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.